Welcome back. I'm Kim Bailey. She's Fuliana Osborne, and this is Inside Exec. In fact, Fuliana is not with us this week, so I get to talk to you about a topic of my choice without her interruptions. This week, I want to share with you and give you an opportunity to think about something that is more about personal development. In the past 2 weeks, I have been challenged to do some activities that I really didn't want to do. These were as a favour to a friend, and it was a very public activity, and I was very uncomfortable about the idea of doing it, and it made me think about that process of challenging ourselves, of pushing ourselves to the limit. Early in our careers, we start to think about where we would like to be, what we would like to do, and we're quite prepared to educate ourselves, to learn more, to try new things, to move jobs, to try new activities, to learn from others. And I wonder if any of you feel the way I did after this period of time, that some of that process has been lost along the way, that I've got to a point in my career where I'm comfortable with what I do, what I can do, what I can offer in a corporate environment, what I could offer as a consultant. That said, I should really be still thinking about how I can improve, how I can challenge myself, what I can do to give myself some fulfillment. And this is where it led. It led me to have a discussion with someone about what fulfillment is in terms of a career, as opposed to what satisfaction is, achievement is, all of the other words that we might associate with fulfillment. And of course, fulfillment's going to mean something different to everybody. But for me, it was about feeling fulfilled. And fulfilled was that I knew that I had given everything I possibly could in terms of contribution to a project, and that the result in some way reflected the fact that I had given of my all. Now, in this case, the outcome wasn't as successful as we might have hoped, but we did come away with some really positive feedback, some positive ideas, and we had an opportunity to move again and do the same activity a couple of weeks later. And I suppose in terms of talking about it, I probably should tell you what it is so that it's not quite so nebulous. I have an associate who does a lot of work with promotional products, flags and banners, that sort of thing. And he was very involved with a project that developed a particular banner for a football club, and it was a fan group. So it was very much an inside activity in terms of these very dedicated fans who turn up week in, week out to this particular football team's matches. And towards the end of the season, which is when I'm recording it, it's almost the end of the football season, there was some stock left of these individual flags that people could hold up. And so he determined that the person who he had been dealing with from the fan group was not going to have the opportunity to move this stock, and so he should do it. He should take that on as a task. And that meant actually going to the game and standing outside the ground where the team was playing and selling the product there. Not something he had ever done before, certainly not something I had ever done before, but I wanted to show him some support for this business decision that he had made, that he was really going to push himself out of his comfort zone to do this, but he felt that it was important. And some of the things that he felt were important were about getting some feedback from the actual fans, one-to-one. He had always worked through this other contact that he had, and the contact was quite happy for him to do that, to be there and to sell these banners and to promote the product. So he felt he was going to gain something in a business sense. He was going to get an idea of the fans, of what they spent their money on before the game, of whether they were interested in this particular product, because it had been developed with a 3-year plan in mind. So this was the first year. So it was a bit of an opportunity for him to see what the demand would be like for next season, whether in fact the message that was on the banner was appropriate, because we had some conflicting ideas and comments about whether it was appropriate for all fans or whether it was only for fans who came from a particular geographical area. That said, I put my hand up and said, yes, I'll do it, in a moment of madness. And really, I really was concerned about how I would do this. You know, I see myself in a certain way, as a certain persona, and standing outside a very famous football ground in Sydney, dancing around to the theme song and waving this banner so that people could buy them if they so desired, was probably not my first choice for a Saturday evening's activities. As I said, I felt that it was important for me to show my support and to help him to be confident enough to do it himself. And what I found in terms of personal growth was that when I got there and I thought, well, this is an activity, this is what I'm doing. If I see someone I know, well, then I'll talk to them. You know, really, everyone else's opinion is their problem, not mine. And I have to really come back to that and make sure that I remind myself of that, because it's not about judgment. It's about me doing something for a colleague and me also taking on something that I didn't want to do. And there was absolutely no reason for me to not want to do it. You know, why would I not want to do it, really? When it comes down to it, it's not costing me anything other than time. And I had the time to spend. So why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I show my support? And why wouldn't I test myself? Because what I might learn from that activity would be very valuable. And in fact it was. In fact, what I found after the couple of hours that I was there was that this was a task I could do. I didn't want to do it every week. I didn't necessarily think that I was great at it and that I should add it to my activities that I could offer. But I did it. I felt fulfilled because I felt that I had stretched myself in doing something that I didn't want to do for no particularly good reason that I could verbalise. I had helped a colleague and I actually made some sales. And you know, most of you who know my physical appearance will know that I have very distinctive hair. And the first person who bought a banner bought it on the basis of my hair being awesome. That was an interesting interaction. It wasn't about that they wanted the product particularly, but it was about that they wanted to interact, that they recognised in some sense what we were doing and that we were taking a step out of being run-of-the-mill promoters, for want of a better word. And that was good. That was a nice recognition of the effort that had gone in for that day. And so that was another positive that came out of it. And then we actually did it last weekend. So 2 weeks afterwards, we did it again and got great reaction from the people. We found a different spot to stand, and so we got lots more interaction from people. And I found it less difficult the second time. Still had to think of, you know, this is the process I'm going to do, this is the task I'm going to do, these are the reasons I'm doing it, so let's just do it. And the time went quickly, and at the end of it I again felt fulfilled that we had met the obligation that we had made for ourselves, that we did more sales than we had the previous time. And it wasn't so much about the sales, it was about that interaction. It was that people-to-people thing, that human-to-human interaction Juliana has talked about in some of our other podcasts. And it was also about setting a task that was beyond what I really thought I was capable of doing. If I was honest with myself, I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I was capable of doing that sort of an activity because I'd not ever done it before. I didn't really know what I should do. You know, and we had the theme song that was there. I didn't know the theme song, but I certainly know it now. I didn't know how I was going to promote these banners, how I was going to interact with people, what was I going to say, and how would I look at them and not make them feel uncomfortable or feel that they might be forced into buying something that they didn't want to buy. All of those things, experiences that I had not had previously, and I think that was part of what was holding me back. But all of it, in the end, came down to an opportunity for personal growth at a time when, as I said at the beginning, I really haven't looked at those sorts of opportunities. Certainly I've looked at growth in terms of the podcasts that I listen to, or the videos that I watch, or the people that I go to see speak. All of that is still just learning, and it's still just theory. It's not actually doing something to test myself. And it's a little bit like people who go off to, let's say Tony Robbins, for an example, and do the firewalk experience. How many of them, how many thousands and thousands of those people who've gone through that experience never thought beforehand that that would be something that they would attempt. And it's not the task per se that is going to give you growth in terms of your career or in terms of your skills, but it gives you something far better internally and in your headspace. So let's give you the opportunity to think about some personal growth that you might like to take, or that you might not like to take, but you can see that there might be value in it, and give yourself that opportunity. Give yourself the opportunity to do something that you really don't want to do, if you can see that by doing it, there's going to be some sense of fulfillment, and whatever fulfillment means for you. I think that's probably enough for you to be going on with this week. I will give you Fuliana's apologies once again. She's not able to be with us today, but she will be back soon. So for now, I'm Kim Bailey, and this is Inside Exec.